Now it's January, February, March, had a lot of action. And right now what I'd like to do is an update of where is the CALEXIT movement from 2012 to March 2017. What successes have been achieved? Now, there's a poster here that I sent out to the 81 chapters across California or our nation who are working on CALEXIT. If you were one of those 81 chapters, you got a copy of this. We just broke 81 chapters. It's also the thing there that you see in the background. And basically, what this is right here is a map of what we call hardcore volunteers. So yes, California right now is the largest organization with CALEXIT, but it certainly isn't the only one. This is a map of people who have said that they're willing to publicly go out and meet the public, ask for signatures, go on TV, that they're willing to be the most public about it. This is not all of the members. It's perhaps the most energetic ones. But what I want to draw your attention to is the location of these blue diagrams, polygons, areas, and the numbers within them. There is a lot of talk about how people in the rural areas or the interior of California or Jefferson don't support this, and only people on the coast do. That's not true. So, for example, looking at this map, you can see that there's as much interest in Sacramento County as Marin County. There's as much interest in Fresno County as there is in San Luis Obispo County. So why is it that these rural but coastal areas have just as many people who are interested in CALEXIT as interior areas? Well, the real difference seems to be if you live near a city or not. You know, if there's a lot of urbanization, we seem to have a lot of support. If there's not, there seems to be less support. But there's big cities in conservative areas, like Orange County. For example, Orange County has 1,000 people who are really interested in going out and meeting the public. Again, this isn't reflective of total members. But we can also look to, again, Marin County has about the same amount of people who are really interested. So from our data, the coastal liberal areas are as interested as the conservative areas. We don't really notice the difference. That's one of the achievements, is that we've shown that people who are interested in California nationhood come from everywhere. There is no particular background. I got to tell you, having traveled to 40 cities when I was trying to tell people about this idea in 2013 and 2014, having built up personally 81 chapters representing 81 urban areas in California, and having been part of this movement and talked to probably more than anybody, there's no pattern. There's Republicans here, there's Democrats, there's Libertarians, there's Green Party, there's Bernie Sanders, there's even a couple communists. There's some people who want laissez-faire market. One of the greatest stories is we have people who come up to a table. One of them says, there's three people, and they'll come up to a table. This has happened more than once. One of them says, I love this idea. Then their buddy, wife, partner, spouse, friend, looks at them weird and goes, oh, I hate this idea. And then they both look at their third friend who kind of goes, I don't know what to think. I'm ready for more information. That's it. There's no pattern. We've seen many families and friends where someone liked it and someone didn't. Same group of people. They came from the same place, same background. And that matches up with one of the greatest successes that we have. 32% of Californians support CALEXIT. So there was a variety of polls over a 3-month period by UC Berkeley, Stanford University, and Reuters Ipsos from January to March 2017. And they all basically showed about 1/3 of Californians were into CALEXIT. Now, some people are saying that the support for CALEXIT is simply an emotional reaction. If it's an emotional reaction, it's gone on for 3 solid months, meaning people had time to think about what they were doing, and maybe emotion isn't part of it. Logic is. Again, 3 polls over 3 months, 2017, 3 different reputable scientific studies, all of them showing about 1/3 of Californians are interested. But it gets even better. You pull out the word CALEXIT or secession, and the percentages go up higher. So the Public Policy Institute of California, which is the think tank for our nation, did some polls in about January, February 2017. And this was reported in by David Siders, the reporter. 65% of Californians support ignoring the federal government on laws related to immigration and doing their own thing. And 63% support ignoring federal laws on climate change. That's secession. When you're not going to do what the federal government says and you say do your own thing at the local level, that's secession. They just didn't use the word secession, but you talk about immigration and climate change, it goes from 1/3 of Californians are interested in ignoring the federal government to 2/3 of Californians. Those are polls this year by PPIC. Additionally, this is one of my favorite ones, is that Reuters Ipsos, when they did their poll, didn't just ask if you like CALEXIT or not. They said, do you like CALEXIT? Do you not know how you feel, or are you against it? The phrase was, don't know. When you look at that Reuters Ipsos poll, which is the famous one that really got the conversation going on 1/3 of Californians support CALEXIT, it was 32% are for CALEXIT. Now, that's all they reported popularly in the news. That's not all the questions they asked, though, in that actual poll. That might lead you to assume that 70% of Californians are against CALEXIT. That's not what the Reuters Ipsos poll found out. It showed 32% were for CALEXIT and 15.5%, I don't know. We're talking about a radical subject, not pizza toppings. And you say, I don't know how I feel about secession? That means you're open to the idea. A little bit of math, 32 plus 15.5 is 47.5% of Californians, Reuters Ipsos, said, I'm not opposed to secession. Saying I don't know means you're not against it, because there was a category saying you're against it. So we almost had half of Californians supporting secession. That's a huge thing. Additionally, Yes California, which is currently the largest group in the CALEXIT movement, has more members on Facebook than the California Democratic Party. About 46,000 to 45,000, maybe 45 to 44. So social media is the number one way people in 2017 show their activity. Facebook is the dominant use of social media, according to scientific studies. And Yes California, or the largest CALEXIT movement, the most visible one, is bigger than the Democratic Party. Additionally, 46% of registered voters are Democrats in California, but 47.5%, according to Reuters Ipsos, aren't opposed to secession, which means technically there's more Californians who believe in secession and are actively participating in secession than who participate with and support the California Democratic Party. Interesting times. One of the other successes is that people said you could never get businesses to support this and you could never get big money to support the idea. We're still working on fundraising, but I do want to point out that billionaires Shervin Peshvar and Peter Thiel already publicly supported CALEXIT. Millionaires Mark Hemion and David Morin already publicly supported CALEXIT. So we have billionaires and millionaires who've already supported the idea publicly. Additionally, CNN Money, MarketWatch, Yahoo-Finance, Entrepreneur Magazine, Business Insider, International Business Times, Forbes Magazine, all reported on the CALEXIT idea, said it could happen, and did not say that it would be the end of the economy. So we have multiple business magazines saying this could happen, not bad for business, and we have many rich people who are saying, yeah, I kind of like this idea. That's really huge, because one of the things that kills an idea is to say, you'll never get the business community or the wealthy to support it. Well, we've done that. The other one was, you'll never get Californians to support it. Well, we've done that. The other one is they go, politicians will never support this. Well, again, Senate President Kevin de León, or the third highest ranking elected official in California, referred to America as a foreign land recently. Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon referred to America as a foreign land. Assembly Majority Whip Evan Lowe said, I will explore intro of a bill to have California secede. And Congressmember Dana Rohrabacher said he would support the right for Californians to vote on secession, although he may not support the idea itself. So that's 4 different politicians who said that they would support this sort of thinking. Additionally, one of the things is that people have always said that Americans would never support secession. Well, there was a poll out showing that 31% of Americans would support California leaving. 31%. It's April 2017 right now. And we just ended March. So a lot of these numbers are coming from March 2017. And what we've known is that very recently they've done a poll and it showed a third of Americans said, go ahead and go, California. You only need a little bit more than 51%. I know some people are saying 2/3 to get approval to have a constitutional amendment. It is not for sure you have to have a constitutional amendment in order for California to secede. Again, look at the Texas versus White decision, which said you can secede through consent of the states. Consent of the states has never been defined by a court. It has to be defined by a court, not a legal scholar. That's why it's called the law. A court or a judge has to do it while acting on that case. So 51% might be all it takes to actually get Congress to allow California to leave. Additionally, 51% is all it took for Congress to allow California to become a state when they forced California to become a state. So why would it cost more to leave when that was the threshold to enter? Illegally, by the way. California was forced to become a state through genocide and military conquest, which would never be recognized by an international court of law, which America doesn't belong to the International Criminal Court, so it doesn't matter anyways. But you're not sure it's 2/3, could be 51%, and we have 30% of Americans said they support the idea. That means we're damn close, folks. Just a little bit more, and we can have it. A lot of people said that it's not legal to secede. Well, we're glad that the newspapers are finally admitting that a constitutional amendment, while I don't support that interpretation, is legal and could allow for California to secede. The news is at least finally admitting that, yes, there's a legal path. Additionally, Kathleen Kennelly, who was the acting attorney general for the CALEXIT initiative, said when she approved the initiative, she pointed out in the fiscal summary for the CALEXIT initiative, acting attorney general, highest legal officer in all of California, literally said in the fiscal summary, approving that initiative, that there is a court case by the U.S. Supreme Court, highest court in all of America, called Texas versus White, and that they literally said you can secede through consent of the states. So a lawyer in America, who's the biggest lawyer in all of California, said Texas versus White exists, and consent to the states is a phrase they used when approving the CALEXIT initiative. Additionally, Xavier Becerra was interviewed by the New York Times on February 10th, 2017, about CALEXIT and if it was legal. He said it's tough for a place to secede. He did not say it was illegal. He was directly asked by the New York Times on February 10th, 2017. Didn't say it was illegal. That's a second California Attorney General or highest legal officer saying it's not illegal. And just for the record, Kathleen Kennelly said on January 10th, 2017, that Texas versus White and consent of the states was there. Finally, UC Berkeley professor David A. Carrillo said Texas versus White did have the phrase consent to the states. He's one of the highest legal scholars, works at the University of California, Berkeley, David Carrillo. He admitted Texas versus White exists and that it does use the phrase consent to the states, and that additionally, the constitutional amendment with 2/3 of Congress is all it would take to make it legal. So he actually identified two different legal paths. So what we have is politicians would support CALEXIT, businesses would support CALEXIT, the business community would support it, rich people would support it, Californians would support it, Americans would support it, and it's legal. And according to this map, which is looking at the super volunteers from Yes California, which is the largest of the CALEXIT movement, you can see that support for CALEXIT is evenly spaced throughout California. There's a little bit of a gap here in the Sierras and a little bit, yes, in the Jefferson area. But I do want to point out that even though Jefferson is lacking in support, some of its major cities have a lot of support, right in the middle of it. So here's an area where, yes, we're missing support, and up here. And then the entire rest of the coast and the interior and conservative counties, Orange County, San Diego, San Bernardino, Fresno, Sacramento, Yuba, are supporting CALEXIT as much as coastal communities. So we've now proven that it's possible. I want to show you one more map. So this is an extrapolation. I took the hardcore volunteers from Yes California, compared them to a percentage, and then took out the number of Californians who supported CalExit. Now, the surveys show 32% of Californians support CalExit. We don't have a survey showing the percentage broken down in each region. So I generally worked it out. If you take a look at that map, what that's going to show you is roughly how many people support CalExit in each region, based upon the best available data, which is the database from Yes California. When we look at that, we can see that there's like 3 million people who support CalExit in the Bay Area. Another 3 million in Los Angeles. You can see upwards of 1 to 2 million in the San Diego, Orange County area. You can see 500,000 in Fresno, 74,000 in Bakersfield, 120,000 in Salinas, 3.5 million in the Bay Area, 500,000 in Marin County, 30,000 in Mendocino, 80,000 near Eureka, 32,000 in the Jefferson area, 101,000 in the Santa Barbara area. I'm sorry, San Luis Obispo. Santa Barbara, 325,000. LA, 3.8 million. Orange County, about 573,000. San Diego, 1 million. Palm Springs, almost 100,000. Lancaster, 300,000. We haven't reached all those people. They aren't participating in the movement, but they exist. That's the success of the CalExit movement. Looking at January, February, and March, and reporting now at the beginning of April 2017. Brought to you by the person who started it in 2012. Thank you, and good night.